Welcome to Parenting Talk. I'm Coach Hall, and today our topic will be about foster parenting. And I have an expert in foster parenting. Margaret Doxey is in the house, and she's going to share her wealth of knowledge with us. I have 5 poignant questions I'm going to pose to her, and she's going to answer them for us. I'm excited about it. She's a very busy person, so I really appreciate the time that she's going to spend with us today. So, Margaret, please introduce yourself.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate having this opportunity to be here with you and have this conversation because this has been a passion of mine. I am a communications coach and a hypnotherapist. So not only do I help people learn how to communicate with others in their life, but I let them and teach them how to communicate with their subconscious mind through hypnotherapy. I've been a foster parent for, my goodness, probably 17 years now, officially and unofficially. So collectively, I've had over 44 children bless my home. And I feel very, very thankful to have had that experience. I've had them from infants all the way to cusping to 18 years old. And some of them, I've actually had them in my home beyond 18 and let them finish figuring out how life is supposed to be working.
Wow, that's fantastic. You're definitely the person we need to talk about foster parenting today. So let's dive into the questions. The first big question would be, why foster parenting?
Oh my gosh, it's such an amazing experience. It really is. It's tough, and I'm not going to kid you. It can be really heartbreaking, but it is the most amazing experience. And I know a lot of times people want to just applaud us foster parents and say, oh, you've made such an impact on these children's lives. And I'll agree to that. As a foster parent, we do, but I think they really underestimate the value that these children bring back to us. They help us learn, they help us grow, they help us expand in ways that you didn't know you needed to expand. These kids show up in your doorstep and you think, oh, this is going to be just like any other kid. And they really help you to open up your mind, your heart, just everything about you to make these connections to these little people. And you think having a child of your own, you think it's hard, it doesn't come with a manual, but when you take on somebody else's child that have come through situations that we as adults would find hard to handle, and these little troopers come through these things and are just so open and loving and caring, even through some of the darkest hours, it is just amazing.
You mentioned something that was very interesting in what you just said, which was they show up into your home and you have other children in your case, right?
Yes.
Does it impact, and if so, how does it impact the relationship in its entirety, your biological children, your other children compared to the foster children?
Well, before we made the decision to actually start bringing children into our home, it actually kind of started on the unofficial fostering. It was our children whose friends would come by and didn't have parents that were connecting with them. And some of them, we just had parents who gave up on them altogether. And it seemed like when we made that transition, it was always a conversation we had as a family. No matter if it was officially or unofficially, these children were going to be in our home. We sat down as a family and discussed how we felt about bringing this person in to live in our home. And the unbelievable givingness of our children was incredible, because even though they knew that, quote unquote, we didn't have the perfect household, or, maybe we weren't the richest of families financially, that they were willing to just sacrifice what they had to give somebody else something.
So you would say that not only were you enriched, but your other children were enriched by this experience?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just the openness. And when these kids walked into our home, they were instantly made family. Our children, whoever, especially were the closest in age to whomever came into our home, instantly started to bond with them and make them feel warm and welcome and secure. And it was just such an incredible experience, because we thought there would be such a learning curve as to how to react to somebody like this in our home. And our kids were just absolutely amazing at it.
You're choking me up there a little bit. I could imagine what it's like as a parent to do that, and you're doing such a wonderful thing for somebody else that's obviously not as fortunate as we are, and helping lift their world up a little bit. But I never even considered the other aspect of it, of what it can mean for your children and and in retrospect, what that means to you because of what your children are experiencing.
Yeah, the depth of what our kids would take it to was incredible. If a child was having an incredibly hard night, maybe they were screaming and crying all night, because these kids sometimes are literally pulled from their home in nothing more than diapers or underwear and thrown on a stranger's doorstep and said, here, make them part of your family. I've had kids that were up screaming all night long. My kids were quick to just do what they could to comfort them and make them feel safe and secure, giving them clothes and toys, and sometimes just laying in the bed, hugging them and just letting them know it was going to be okay. It was going to be a safe place.
Wow. In your experience, 44, that's quite a number. What was the biggest challenge that you faced? Or what would you say is the biggest struggles that you would have, or the biggest challenges?
Oh, wow. There was a lot of them along the way, because each child came in so differently. When we started doing it officially as foster parents, we had less of a say of who was going to show up in our door. They give you a brief outline of what this person's going to be. They basically deduce them to a couple of letters and numbers and say, this is what's going to show up. And you kind of have to figure out what shows up on your doorstep. They say, we have 3 kids that need a home. They're this age to this age, boys and girls. Here you go. A lot of times I got what they called first pulls. That means they've never been in foster care before. So these children were literally taken from their homes and then either brought from police protective custody into my home, or I was police protective custody and then they remained in my home. I've had kids, the hardest group I ever had was 2 children that were autistic. They were only a year apart, and then they came with a 2-year-old on top of that.
Wow.
So each one of the ones that were autistic, they were on different spectrums. So that really challenged us, but it also really expanded us and helped us grow in such amazing ways.
Yeah, I bet. From all of those struggles, obviously you learned a lot of lessons. What would you say were some of the best solutions that came about from these struggles and challenges?
Again, I'm going to kind of go back to what I do, and I think it's the most important thing that we have throughout life. Communicate, listen. Just listen, because I think we get so challenged as adults, as parents, that we have to dictate how the conversations go, that we have to control. But I think if you really just sit down and listen, when this child is screaming and crying, really listen to why this screaming and crying is happening. It's not just to make your day miserable. It's not just to make you uncomfortable or to just frustrate you. A child has no other way to communicate, or lacks the understanding of how to communicate to you properly. So just sit down, listen, find out, get the reasons why, ask some questions, or just let it be. Just let it be. And I think that's the most important part, learning how to communicate with these little people, whether they're 2 years old or 22 years old, needing to learn how to sit and just really communicate with them, and at their level, not at your level. It has to be at their level. And then once you're at that level, you can work with them and bring them up with you, but you have to meet them at their level first.
Do you have sort of a goal or a vision in your mind when they come into your home that, I'm going to put them on this path, or is it you're just kind of...
No, I never try to pre-design a path for whoever shows up. I really just let them intuitively tell me. We might find out that this little person is like super creative. Well, I don't want to set them on a path of academia if what they are is more of a creative spirit. So I let them guide me, and I help them by making sure those resources are available, and I get them into the right areas that they can flourish the best, because it's not for me to determine that, our arts and crafts kid needs to be a doctor. Well, that's not going to fly.
Right. So you're listening. So your listening is more than just hearing and listening. You're really trying to understand them and to connect with them, so you can figure out a way that you can guide them in the direction that's really the best for them.
Absolutely. And by listening to them and communicating in that aspect, we really help to determine some of the insecurities that they show up with. I mean, I've had kids show up that suffered with lack of food, as an example. A lot of times what they do when they come into your home is they just start hoarding food, because they never know when it's going to run out, and then learning how to take things like that, aspects of what they went through, making them feel secure, and then pushing them along a different line that helps them understand that this is security, and then guiding them even into other things where we start to realize that there's so much deeper of things that transloot from this. It becomes incredible. I mean, it absolutely becomes incredible. One child I had, he was only 8, but because of the situation he was in with his not being able to have food all the time, you could already see an aspect of him. He was interested in health and wellness. He was like so driven into health and wellness. And you'd think that would be quite the opposite of having been what he had gone through. But the more we started to work with him and talk with him and spend time with him, he was such a health and wellness kid.
Wow. Did you have any preconceived notions about what this experience might be like? Yeah, for those people that are watching or considering to be a foster parent, they may have all kinds of ideas of what it's like. Did you have any preconceived notions about the experience going in?
No, I think honestly, they don't really prepare you to be a foster parent. They tell you the legalities of being a foster parent. They tell you that just being there is enough, but I don't think they really fit the challenges of what it is to be a foster parent. You know, they don't really go through the aspects of what child's going to show up on your doorstep, your attachment you're going to have to these children. I mean, these children come to your home. They're with you for sometimes a year or more. And then with no rhyme, no reason, some worker shows up at your door and tells you they're taking the children to another home.
Wow. Okay, so you got to be kind of prepared for the unknown, sounds like. Okay, is there any other advice as we wrap this up that you could offer to parents that are currently in this process or considering becoming foster parents?
If you're currently a foster parent, I think, again, I know for us, it was just trying to find resources of people to talk to. Donnie, that's where I think you're great at this. And I think I really push people to get in touch with you and make contact with you because you offer so much. I would have just loved to have had contact with you while we were really going through the most of the things we were going through as foster parents. I think you could have saved us a lot of hurdles. Having even just taken your courses really could have saved a lot of hurdles that we're impacted with. We had to learn through trial and error, and it would have been great to at least have that compass that pointed me north. That right there is fantastic. But again, I'm just going to go back to, if people can just learn to listen and communicate with kids at their level before they try to bring them to that adult level, I think is just going to be a huge, huge impact for you and them. And you're going to save yourself a lot of frustration.
Wow, I think that's sound advice. Thank you so much, Margaret. Is there a way that people could contact you if they're interested in this topic or anything else that you offer? How could they reach out to you and make contact with you?
Absolutely. The best place to try to find me and get a hold of me is right through Facebook. You can either hit me up on my personal profile, which I'm Margaret Doxey, or you can hit me up on my business page, which is Solstice Life Coaching. And I would be happy to connect and have a chat with anybody.
Okay. Thank you so much, Margaret. I really appreciate this. You've taught me a lot today. I didn't know any of this stuff. You're very experienced in this area, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure the people that are watching appreciate what you've offered us today. But it doesn't have to end here, guys. We can continue this conversation. Make comments below the video here, and let's keep it running. And take advantage of what Margaret has offered. Reach out to her, and if you want, you can reach out to me. Contact me on my Facebook page at Star Family Coaching. That's the same for my website. Or if you want to email me, you can at starfamilycoaching@gmail.com. Let's keep talking, people. That's the only way we're going to get to all of these solutions that we're all looking for as parents. So let's keep talking so we can become empowered. And that's it for this video. Until next time, farewell, my friends.